Hey folks, welcome back to Bullets and Brass. We had a different video planned for today, but because it is New Year's, the other video is just not upbeat and positive enough. It's actually a kind of not a downer video, but it's a negative topic. It's a warning kind of video as opposed to a positive message. And I didn't think that was a good way to start the year. So it is 2022. I'm filming this. Are we still morning? We are not. It is now afternoon. Yeah, it's a little late start for me today, and I wasn't even I didn't drink that much. But yeah, I was up till like 3 in the morning. So the topic for today is, why are we even here? And no, not the metaphysical question, not the theological one, just why does this YouTube channel exist? Because somebody on my live stream last week asked, what made you start the channel? And I realized that I haven't talked about that since I started the channel. Very early in the process, that came up a couple times. And then since then, it hasn't. And most of my viewers and subscribers have never watched the older videos. I mean, I know it, you know it. It is what it is. And I thought that was important. I thought that explaining why this channel exists is relevant, because I think a lot of people that watch my videos might misunderstand where the content is coming from in terms of purpose. And in doing that, they might, well, they do comment, making, saying things that I'm like, well, you're right, but that's not what the video was for. So the purpose of the videos, the purpose of the channel, is to educate people, new shooters, old shooters, non-shooters. I've had a number of people message me or post comments on my very simple, parts of kind of videos, saying, they're not even shooters. There's somebody doing an article. There's somebody writing a book. There's somebody, doing a drawing or a video or something, and they needed knowledge of how things worked in order to present that properly. Because they're not in the shooting community. They don't use guns, and they didn't know. Because Hollywood is not reliable. The media is not reliable. If you don't have a reference library, where do you get that information? And most YouTube channels are entertainment. I mean, it just is what it is. Their goal is not to educate you on basics. It may be to educate you about a particular firearm, a particular technique, but overall, they are assuming a level of knowledge that is not necessarily as common as we think it is here in the shooting community. So the purpose of the channel is to not assume you have a lot of baseline knowledge. There are going to be times where I make a video that does assume a certain amount of baseline knowledge, and I will say that usually in the video. I will say, this is not a beginner concept, or, this assumes you already know how to do this. But for the most part, I'm making videos assuming the person is very new to firearms, or very new to the particular area of firearms I'm talking about. So I'll gloss over higher levels of something in favor of a simplified explanation as much as I can. I am not going to be like the video I recently did. I don't know why I'm looking over at the laptop. The video I recently did of powder burn rates. That is a topic that goes so deep. The rabbit hole on that keeps on going. And I shot that video 3 different times, along with some edits, meaning like reshoots of sections, because I kept getting too far into it. And that isn't the purpose. The purpose of that video is for somebody who honestly doesn't understand why there are 50 different kinds of powder from one company. Why do you need that many options? It's just gunpowder, right? Well, even if it was just black powder, it's not just gunpowder. There's different kinds for different purposes. But the media never tells you that. Hollywood never tells you that. Most YouTube channels don't ever tell you that. It's not relevant. Unless you went to a niche site on reloading. And even then, very often they say, we're going to use this powder and it's these two, it's a cylindrical, shortcut, double base propellant. Okay. Now what? Now I got to go look up what those things mean? And I didn't get that deep. I mean, it's another video maybe. So that's the purpose of the channel. And so far, I think it's worked. I've had a lot of people message me, a lot of people leave comments. They are clearly not shooters. They are not people who regularly shoot firearms and consume the knowledge that many people take for granted in the shooting community. Things like basic trigger control. If you grow up around guns with other people who shoot, you've learned this by having it pounded into your head by an older brother, a cousin, an uncle, a dad, a grandfather, and you've figured out what really works for you, because for everybody it's a little different. Everybody's, trigger squeeze is slightly different. But you figured out that, I have to put my finger there on this gun because otherwise I'm pulling left or right and so on. But if you don't know anything about it, and you see that all the time in Hollywood, you see it all the time, TV, the media. How often do we watch, police dramas and they're holding the gun in a way that is absolutely ridiculous? They don't know any better and they don't care. But then you see people at the range doing the same thing because nobody has taught them better. It's not that they're stupid. They're literally ignorant in the true sense of the word. They have never been taught differently. They saw somebody that they like on TV doing it this way, and they thought that was right. Because why would they show me it if it was wrong? So the official, why did I start this channel a couple years ago? Comes down to a week of whoopsies on other YouTube channels and the media. There had been a number of bad representations of firearms and how they work in the media at the time, which is continuous, but I don't normally consume traditional media, and happened to see them. I was at the gym and they were talking about them, and they were showing one gun and talking about another one, and even labeled it incorrectly on a major news outlet. And it was key information for the story. It wasn't like it was just, hey, there was a gun involved, so let us put a gun on the screen. It was a critical piece of information. And then there was another story where they were talking about brass found at the scene, and then they were saying, we think he used a revolver, but it was 9mm brass, and it definitely was not a revolver involved. So it just keeps on going. There was more and more and more. And the final straw was a YouTube channel that I like. That normally is very accurate information, factual based. They are a gun retailer with a big YouTube channel and YouTube following. And they do a show where it's basically live. They're recording it, and I think they're showing it live in one format, and then they put the recorded version on YouTube, but they don't edit it. And one of the presenters said something about a caliber, comparing it to another caliber. That was what they were actually talking about, not the first caliber. But what he said about the first caliber was just straight up wrong. It was bad info, and it was important info for what he said. It wasn't just incidental. And couldn't correct himself. You could see, the instant he said it, he was like, oh shit. Got to move on. On with the show. The other presenter also was like, But they hit it well, and they kept going because it wasn't key to their show. And if you're doing a show like that, you have to go. The show must go on. And it wasn't important enough. It was a tiny little fraction of the show. They weren't going to even put a comment or splash a text thing on top of it. So that was kind of the final straw for me, was that I thought there needed to be a channel specifically focused on that. I am not here to sell you on something. I am not here to convince you that you have to own X. I'm here to tell you why you might want X, or you might not want X, or how X and Y are different. I occasionally do technique videos where I say, this is how you do this. Hopefully it always comes across that I am saying this is how you do this in this context, and that there are other ways you could do this. I'm just showing you this one. And one of the few exceptions is to get your hand off the front of the stock if you're using a supported position. See it all the time, drives me nuts. The only reason your hand should be on the front of the gun if you're in a supported position is if you need it to keep the gun in place. Please, people, your other hand, your off hand is not helping you if it is touching the gun in front and the gun is resting on something else that it's supposed to stay on. People who know absolutely how to shoot, they are very experienced, still do this, and it drives me nuts. Pet peeve. So that is where the channel came from. That is the goal. When I'm making videos, the goal is not to convince you you need something, or you are doing something wrong, or you need to buy something, or that brand X is better than brand Y. The goal is for you to know more when you leave than you did when you came in. And I recognize that for most of my videos, most of the people watching it are not going to learn anything because they already knew it. Maybe they pick up, little tiny tidbit or something. I mean, that's normal. But I am not some massive expert. I am not any more experienced than most people. I have a broad base of knowledge, and I don't have my ego involved in it. I'm willing to go, this sounds like a good topic. Let me look up everything I can find about it. Put it together into a video. There you go. This particularly comes through on caliber stuff. I don't know the specs, the exact foot-pounds and FPS on all these calibers. I'm looking them up because, okay, I know that something is faster than this other thing with certain weights and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know the exact speeds at different ranges and the BCs. If I don't reload for that caliber, and even if I do, I know the numbers from what I reload. Yeah. But the point is, you can look it up. But you have to know that you would want to look it up. You have to know that that's of interest to me. Let me dig deeper. I posted a picture on Instagram of the bore axis over your hand on a Glock versus my SIG P320. And after I took the picture and put it up there last night, I went and grabbed a 1911 and put it there. And I was like, wow, had not realized the 1911 was quite that tall. I mean, I knew they were tall. I didn't realize they were quite that tall. Cool, learned something. I'm going to be doing a video about it because that's important information. Bore axis over your hand is critical if you are trying to do certain kinds of shooting. And even if you're not, it can affect comfort. Good information, right? Anyway, take care, have fun, stay safe. Hopefully the hangover isn't too bad. Drink plenty of water and, take it easy today. Take care, guys.